All right. Welcome to part 2 of day 2 of painting with color. So I just pulled out a whole bunch of different tubes of paint. The top row represents very much my traditional, or the colors that I lay out pretty much every single painting. So you'll see I've got a white. For me, it's almost always titanium white. That's just my go-to. I found it to be the kind of best all-arounder. It's not too warm. It's not too cool. It's not too opaque. It's not transparent. And then I will generally use a light or a lemony yellow, or what I consider a yellow that leans towards green. So this is something I want to bring up now, and I'll bring up time and again. Is most books you read and most instructors you'll learn from will talk about having, if they're talking about split primary palettes or any kind of an extended color palette, we'll talk about having a warm and a cool of each color. I think that is a perfectly fine way to talk about color, but I find it to be confusing and difficult. So oftentimes you'll hear me saying warm and cool, but also what I'll say is that I've got a yellow that leans towards green and a yellow that leans towards orange. I'll have a red that leans towards orange and a red that leans towards purple. So I could say that I've got a red that's warmer and a red that's cooler, but I find it almost easier to say leans towards orange, leans towards purple. Conversely, I will have a blue that leans towards purple, and I'll tell you what these colors are, but I just want to talk about the idea behind it. A blue that leans towards purple, and then a blue that leans towards green again.
That makes much more sense.
And it's just easier because, like, when you get to blues, like my manganese blue versus my ultramarine blue, every single book I read says it differently. You know, some say that the manganese is warmer. Some say that the ultramarine is warmer because this one leans towards red. Red is warmer than yellow. I don't know. Or is yellow warmer than red? So I just find it easier to say leans towards a certain color. And that also opens it up. And when we think about the color wheel here, see, I have a yellow that leans towards green and a yellow that leans towards orange. So here is our, let me back this up so I can see this a little bit better. This was the palette we used this last week, a single primary for each, you know, a yellow, a red, and a blue. And what happens is with this palette, we've got a red that leans towards orange, so I can make beautiful oranges. But because there's a little bit of yellow in that, which is the opposite of purple, when I try to use that same red mixed with the blue, it makes hideous purples, right? They're just ultra dark and almost plum, kind of bordering on browns. So if I wanted to make a beautiful purple with this palette, I'm just kind of out of luck, right? Also, my blue leans towards purple, so it has a little bit of red. Red is the opposite of green. So when I use that blue to make a green, if I wanted to paint a springtime green scene, you know, with those vibrant, just luscious, really healthy greens, I'm kind of out of luck. Because of that little bit of red, all my greens are a little bit muted compared to my greens over here, where I've got a blue that doesn't have the reds in it and it leans towards green. So hopefully that's kind of making sense. So what happened is you can do an amazing amount of things with these 3 primaries. That was probably, if I was asked to pick 3 colors and a white, this would be my palette. But since, you know, I can carry a little bit more and I'm in my studio and I can have, you know, as many colors as I want, I find that I can get myself in trouble. And we've talked about that at the beginning of class with a number of you, that when we lay out too many colors, it becomes not better, it becomes worse because we end up having a hard time mixing our colors, replicating our colors, and learning which each one of the colors does when it mixes with any of the other colors. So by having a somewhat limited palette, meaning 2 yellows, 2 reds, and 2 blues, I can understand these colors quicker. I can guess what's going to happen as I'm mixing them. It's going to take you a couple paintings to get a hang of it and to understand it, but you're going to keep playing and keep experimenting. And you're going to be able to go, okay, well, I want to make a vibrant green. So I want to use my blue that leans towards green and my yellow that leans towards green. If I conversely wanted to make a more pine tree kind of a green, or a sap green, or a earthier green, I may want to use my blue that has a little bit of red already in it and mix that, and I will end up with more here. So my thought process as I figure out which colors I'm going to use are, what are the least colors that can do the most work? What are colors I can't mix by using any of these? And so if I have them on the palette, they, I just can't mix them. So that's why I've actually, this is a cadmium yellow deep, I believe. I've taken this color away for myself most of the time, and I use an Indian yellow, because this color can't become Indian yellow, but Indian yellow with a little bit of this can become this color. So when we get to my reds, and please tell me or ask any questions or interrupt me if I'm going too quickly. I feel like I'm bouncing around a little bit here. But if you've taken classes or workshops or read books, a lot of times they will talk about using an alizarin crimson. That historically was kind of the cool, more purpley red that everybody used. Alizarin crimson does have some issues, like a true alizarin crimson is a color that's not actually light fast, meaning that over time that color disappears or weakens, or just kind of goes away on your painting. So I switched over to what's called quinacridone red. I learned about quinacridone red from one of my students who basically said, why aren't you using quinacridone red instead of alizarin? When I mixed a touch of white with quinacridone red, it becomes the most bright fluorescent pink that I'd ever seen mixed with oils. And I said, well, that's why I never need that color. That color is so crazy and over the top. But then only by experimenting with it did I realize, you know what? Quinacridone red can very easily become alizarin by just adding a touch of ultramarine blue, but alizarin can never become quinacridone red. So you can't unmix colors. So if I put like an orange on here, it's very difficult for that orange to become a red. Like you can't unmix a secondary color. You can't make a green become a blue or a yellow. You can make a blue and a yellow become a green. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
hey, Michael, it's just one quick question. Is there ever a true absolute color, like an absolute red?
I have not found it.
Okay.
You will find some of the more, and I'm always nervous about saying this because I haven't tried every tube of paint and I haven't tried every true color, but like in my tubes of paint right here, I've got one by Utrecht that's just called primary yellow. I don't find it to be a true primary yellow. I find it to be more on the green side. But there's companies out there that will tell you it is. There's colors when you buy tubes, there's tube colors that are called red. And whether or not that is, literally in the middle, it exists right here, I don't know. But I haven't found that to be the case. The other thing is I can mix these two colors and make a really beautiful yellow in between. I can mix these two reds and make a really nice in between red, and same thing with my blues. When it comes to the colors though, I do find that a cobalt blue does exist almost exactly when I mix these two colors. Cobalt blue is there. So I've thought about, just getting rid of these two colors and experimenting with just using cobalt blue, but I have never done it,
Okay,
is the truth.
thank you.
Yeah, for a long time, so I started with these, and then I introduced a warm orangey yellow. And then when I got to this red, I introduced alizarin crimson, but then realized that I could do a quinacridone and do more than I could if I just had the alizarin crimson. But again, if you take another instructor, they will swear by alizarin crimson, and it is a gorgeous color and does amazing things. The funny thing is if you find a color called alizarin permanent, the truth is that it's quinacridone red. They just realized that there was a lot of artists who are against quinacridone red, so they just changed the name back to alizarin permanent.
So what's the second red that you're using, Michael?
That's a cadmium red light or a cadmium red medium. I generally want my colors as far apart on the color wheel as I can to get the biggest range and the biggest punch. So a cadmium red light and a quinacridone red, but I could spread that further if I wanted to. I could use a quinacridone rose, which is even more purple, or a quinacridone magenta, which is even more purple, or a quinacridone violet, which is even more purple. I own all of those colors, but I find myself going back to the quinacridone red because I understand it. It's a little more controllable for me, and it gives me a bigger range. And there's oftentimes, truthfully, where I'll have 2 yellows, 2 blues, and 1 red, and it's just the quinacridone. Because this color is crazy and can go really warm, actually, really quickly by adding just a little bit of yellow. So I'm always experimenting. I'm always trying things. And that's what I'm going to urge that you guys do. I cannot tell you what is the best split primary palette. I will try to write down all the different iterations or a number of different iterations of a split primary palette that I know my friends are using and different people are using, so you can experiment. In fact, so okay,
Michael,
let's get back to the blue. Go ahead.
Yeah, what is that blue right there?
That is manganese blue. So
I
for
love that.
years and years and years, I used ultramarine blue and cerulean blue, which is a gorgeous blue. And I thought, wow, that is really the color of, the sky. And I can do so much with the cerulean blue. And manganese blue, if you can see behind it, you can see the permanent marker line. It's quite transparent and it's quite strong, like meaning there's a lot of color to it. Oh, you want cerulean or manganese blue hue. That's important. You don't want straight manganese blue. For one, you'll pay 4 times more because it's a rare color. And for 2, it's much, much weaker. So a true manganese blue is actually a weaker pigment than a manganese blue hue. So that's one of those nice things where you get the cheaper one and it's actually, it does a lot more for you for the, for the price. The reason I stopped using the cerulean blue and went to the manganese was exactly the same story that I told you about the quinacridone. It was through experimenting in classes and having a student say, well, what about this? And me experimenting and realizing, you know what? I can turn a manganese blue to a cerulean, but I can never turn a cerulean to a manganese. So does that make sense? If I'm going to pick a color, I want a color that can do the most.
Yes.
All right. If any of you are adventurous and brave and super good at controlling your colors, you may be using a phthalo blue here. Phthalo blue is gorgeous and amazing, and like literally I've compared it to having a pet wolf. Right? They're gorgeous. They're, just what a neat thing to own a pet wolf, but the odds are that eventually it's going to bite you. It's going to be wild again. Manganese blue for me is so strong and so crazy and just makes all my paintings look a little bit cartoonish when I use it. I've got friends who use it all the time to great effect. But every time I get brave and step out of my comfort zone a little bit and use it, I get bit by my pet wolf. So manganese blue hue is actually, and this is getting a little into the weeds, I apologize. Manganese blue hue is actually a phthalo derivative, meaning that it is a weakened down phthalo. Or as I like to say, it's a domesticated phthalo. It's a little less likely to bite you. And so it's a color that's not, so it's not the most vibrant color. It's not the most extreme color that I could put there. And again, if you are comfortable using phthalo, you could put it right here. You could have ultramarine and phthalo. But again, it just, for me, this is where I'm comfortable with. This is where I can do the most with the least.
So Michael, when you say it bites you, can you just say why that didn't work for you?
Sure, let's go ahead. I've went ahead and set up a giant canvas here that I'm going to make a mess of. And we are going to do some experimenting. So let me just go ahead and lay out my, put out a natural scarlet. I think I need a cadmium red medium. Let me just squeeze out my first palette, the primary one of each palette. So I would just put out a cadmium red medium. And the truth is I'm just out of cadmium red light. Let me lower that so we can see. There we go. And let's put out, I'm going to put out Hansa yellow light, which would be like it's a slightly more transparent compared to the cadmium yellow light or cadmium lemon. Just, it's a great color and it's a lot cheaper than the cadmium colors, but it is slightly more transparent, a little on the weaker side. But again, I personally like working with transparent colors. I also, when I was trying to expand from my primary palette to a split primary palette, for quite a while, I was thinking I needed not only a warm and a cool, but I also needed an opaque and a transparent of each color. And that worked for a little while, and it's an interesting way to think about it. But again, I just use transparent colors so much in my work personally. And that's what I'm going to ask, that you guys kind of just ask these questions of yourself. Like, do I, as we learn about them, do I like transparent colors? Like, do I like the light being able to shoot through the color, hit the canvas and come back? Or do I actually like more opaque color, a thicker, more milky, or whatever way of looking at it? And that is completely up to you. My good buddy Scott Gallatley that I was talking about earlier, all of his colors besides Indian yellow on his palette are opaque. Whereas almost all of my colors are either semi-transparent or transparent, besides my white, and if I have any cadmiums. Cadmiums are always going to be opaque. And again, if you didn't catch this last time, on the back of your tube, you can literally look, and somewhere, if it's a good reputable brand like Gamblin or whomever, you can look on the back and it will tell you, I'm sure that's way too small to see, but on this one, this is Indian yellow. I look on the back and it says transparent. This one you could tell was a leaky paint tube. It's wrapped up in a plastic sack with duct tape around it. I think it got punctured. But if I look on the back, it says cadmium red medium. I look on the back and it says opaque. So you can look back there. Another way of testing it is by doing, I will draw out my line with permanent marker. And by simply putting the colors on top, I can see, can you guys see the black line through the paint? You can see it through the cadmium colors as well. But you can see it through some of these more transparent colors. And again, it depends on how thick I apply it.
Is that ultramarine blue at the end?
Yes, ultramarine blue. This is the same limited palette that I asked you guys to try last time with the high chroma limited palette, limited primary palette. So then I add one more of each color. For me, it's the manganese blue. And I'm thinking of this, let me just go ahead and change how I'm laying them out there. I almost always lay them out in a straight line on each one of my palettes, but I'm thinking about it like a color wheel.
Mm,
Grab some paper towels. So I've got, oops. So I've got my my yellow, my red, and imagine there's a color wheel here. Right? So my second yellow, I'm going to lay out, and I can already see that my red is over here, a warm red. So I'm going to lean this one towards my orange. So this for me now is my Indian yellow. And I've just kind of decided that for the most part is my warmer yellow. I used to, like I said, not use it with new students, not talk about it very much, and just kind of hide the fact that I use it. But you know what? Let's just be honest. That is my color. It leans towards orange, so I'm leaning it towards my warmer of the two reds that I'm going to have on here. My next color for me is my quinacridone red, which leans towards purple. Can you guys see the differences in those colors from that far away?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can.
And then I've got my red that leans towards purple, and this is my ultramarine. It also leans towards purple. So then I'm going to need my blue that leans towards green. For me, that is my manganese. If I was using phthalo blue, it could go there. So that is my split primary palette. Got my two yellows, my two reds, and my two blues. There's a lot of times where I will go ahead and I can mix my secondaries if I want to. I can go ahead and mix those oranges if I think I'm going to need them. The cadmium is very opaque. The Indian yellow is very transparent, so it almost disappears until I add just a touch of white. There we go. Nice bright orange. Let's go ahead and take our red, my quinacridone, that leads towards purple, and my ultramarine that leads towards purple. Mix those. It's going to be very dark. It's going to probably almost appear like a black on the palette or on this monitor. So I will probably want to add a little white to at least part of it so I can kind of see what kind of a purple have I made. Look at that gorgeous fuchsia color. Lovely. Right? I want to show you, let's make our green here. So this is the brightest green I can pretty much make is my manganese blue. Again, a phthalo derivative. My light yellow. And we'll just make a beautiful springtime, very fresh green. Right? So those are the brightest of each color I can pretty much make. But what if I wanted to make more of a pine tree green? Well, I can use my ultramarine and my yellow. And now I've got a little bit of red in the mixture. So all of a sudden it's a much more subdued. This yellow is an interesting texture, but isn't that a huge difference? Green above it. So this is truly probably a green I would use more.
What color did you use?
That was my ultramarine, which has a little bit of red.
And
My same yellow.
okay,
So let's see what happens if I mix my ultramarine and my Indian yellow, which now both have red in them. Both, like, this is a yellow that leans towards orange, so it has a little bit of red, and my blue that leans towards purple, which has a little bit of red, and it's going to make a truly hideous or wonderful, depending on your need.
That green.
Can you say the colors again?
Yeah, that's a different green. Wow.
Very, very different, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So
I added
Happy
a
green
lot of
white.
white to that.
what
What
colors?
would you, what would you make, what would you use to make turquoise?
Yeah.
Mm.
What were
So
the
you
last
see
colors
that that green is truly like an olive green
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of so much red in it. And I would probably use this color more often than this color in real life nature. Unless I was again painting spring or a golf course or budding flowers, right? But if I need to have this green, I can make it because of that. And generally, unless I'm painting jack-o'-lanterns under direct sunlight, I don't need this bright orange. Like I just don't see that in nature hardly ever. So I could simply make a much more subdued orange by reaching beyond. So that's where you want to experiment and try. Man, that yellow, that's the phthalo yellow, is much weaker. I'm gonna go ahead. No, I'll keep going with it.
The camera just went out of focus, so the palette is blurry.
There you go. Sorry.
Okay.
Yellow is also the weakest color. So I go through the most white and yellow comparatively, and I go through the least cadmium red medium and cadmium red light. Those are the colors that last the longest. The yellows are the ones that I'm replacing the most often, and white. Just because they're weaker. Yellow takes up a very small space on the color wheel, because as soon as I can take a bunch of yellow, a big pile of yellow, and mix just a touch, little bit of blue with it, and all of a sudden it's no longer yellow, it's green.
So Michael, your screen is, we're seeing a blurry screen.
Okay, sorry. Let me see if maybe I move it so I'm not getting in the way. Probably wants to focus on my shoulder.
that's
From
better.
that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. But
I see. Wow.
could you
The
make,
colors are way different when it's close.
yeah, it is.
And what did you say your yellow that leads toward blue is?
My yellow that leads towards green, for me, is it could be either a cadmium yellow light, a cadmium lemon, or a Hansa yellow light.
Okay.
Could you make turquoise for me?
Let's see if I can. So what is turquoise? How do you describe turquoise? What is that?
Well, I mean, I think of it as a very a blue that has quite a bit of green in it, but that's very pale. But
I like it. So let's take some of this manganese blue, because it leans towards green. Want to put it on a spot that you can see it there. Let's add just a touch of the yellow, not so much that it goes to green, but just a little bit. I'm starting to get a little bit of Italian coastal water. Let's add a little bit of blue to that.
Did you add more manganese blue or
It was
ultramarine?
white. It was white.
Oh,
white.
white, okay.
Let's
Yeah.
add more. If you want it to be a little bluer.
Oh, I see.
It's pretty. I could dive into that. Mm.
Indeed. Yeah, that just makes me feel like I'm in the tropics.
Mhm.
Thank you.
But let's say I wanted to go paint in the tropics, right? There's nothing that says I can't take either a phthalo blue, which I know is going to go more, or a phthalo green, which actually makes beautiful, beautiful cobalts and teal colors and turquoise colors. So you can always have guest colors. Like if you're literally, well, I'm going to be in Italy on the coast of Amalfi, I better, bring these beautiful, beautiful blues. Do it. Bring it. Have a guest color. But I find that with these colors, I can do so much. All right. Let's say you're one of my students, which you are, and you're just like, yeah, these are all nice, but I always have yellow ochre, right? The yellow ochre is my must-have color. It's just, I use it for everything, browning down and calming down colors. So I'm going to squeeze out a little bit of yellow ochre out of the tube. Just going to put it down here. Oh, that was a lot. Let's see. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
So that's out of the tube. Let's see if we can make something similar to that. So when we look at yellow ochre, what do we see? We see yellow. It's in the name. But it's what? It's definitely, I'm going to put it up next to these other yellows so we can
A
compare
little
it.
browner and oranger.
Browner, yeah. So what do you think we would, I'm going to pull some of that aside so we don't contaminate all of it. But if I wanted to make this color from my primaries, it was a good idea. Somebody said it's a little bit browner. So how do we make a yellow a little bit browner?
A raw umber.
Look at you shortcutting the whole system. Using my palette. Yes, your answer was correct. Your answer was correct. But I don't have umber on there. And I'm pretending I don't have yellow ochre, but I need it, right? I'm painting the what is it? The marshes of Texas. And I need yellow ochre, but I didn't bring it with me. So what would I do to make this
A little red, something red.
Some
A little
red.
purple.
Okay, so first I'm going to start with the yellow,
Yeah.
right? But look at that's a huge difference, right? We're way off base. This is not, nobody's going to mistake this color for yellow ochre. So I heard a little bit red. This is a little more reddish than here, right?
Mhm.
Let's grab just a little bit of red. Let's mix that. All right.
Now some blue.
Mhm.
Let's try some blue. Yeah, good
It's
call.
on the. Mhm.
Looks like I went too strong. I'm gonna mix a little more yellow because I have a feeling I went too reddish with it. And I'm gonna grab a touch. I know my blue, it's not, I don't want it to go green or anything, and I don't want it to go towards black. So I'm just gonna add a very little bit. I'm just kind of neutralizing. I'm browning down this orange. All right. So I kind of went shooting by it, no problem. It's it's a nice dark yellow ochre or almost a golden
Ooh,
ochre,
Very pretty.
that's gorgeous.
but it's not what we want. So let's see if we can do it. Let's fix this up and see if we can bring it back. But yeah, it's a nice
Wow.
color. I mean, if I squeezed this out of a tube that said yellow ochre, I'd be like, yep, that's yellow ochre, just a little bit darker.
Mhm.
But I want to match that other color.
So did you use ultramarine blue?
I did. I just grabbed just a pinch of it.
Okay.
Okay.
So I grabbed more yellow to lighten it back up a little bit and get it back towards yellow.
There
We're
you
getting
go.
closer.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really close.
What about a touch of white?
Ooh, maybe. I think it needs to get just a touch redder, but just a touch, because that's such a strong color. So I add a little more red. Yeah, I was
That's
trying to
it.
figure out why my yellow is so crazy, why it's not working. It's in a tube of acrylic paint.
Oh, no,
Hmm.
That's
that's
funny.
crazy.
I never do that. I always keep my colors so far apart, like literally on different sides of the studio, so that never happens. But I've been mixing and mixing, and all of these colors are a little bit chunky and like sandy feeling. And they just don't want to mix.
Michael
Anyway,
did
that's
it.
really funny.
If Michael does it, we can make mistakes too.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
I've literally almost all my classes, especially plein air painting, will have somebody that brings their white acrylic paint or something else and really gets them in trouble. Well, we're going to keep trying. I didn't even know that you could mix them. So I'm learning something here.
So Michael, you started with lemon yellow, the lighter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
acrylic.
Yeah.
It's getting so close.
I
Let's try
wonder
a touch of
what would
white.
happen to that after it dries on a canvas.
I just think it would crack apart.
Yeah.
Nope, added too much white there. I kind of went flying by it. But anyways, you can see, I mean, I rarely would need it straight acrylic or yellow ochre anyways. I would usually, end up changing that. But the thing I wanted to show you is I can really get close. And I bet you if I was using all oil paints instead of oil paints or acrylic, oh, crazy. It's embarrassing.
Do you have yellow and the orange at the top too? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
it gets close. But
That's good.
yeah. Let's do, first let me get rid of this yellow. And find a tube of actual cadmium yellow light pure oil. That's what I want, not acrylics. That's funny. I was just like, well, I'll just use up the rest of this tube. All right, that just feels much better even squeezing it out. Let's do another color that's really popular for people is like a burnt umber or a burnt sienna. Or raw umber. What about a Venetian red? That's such a beautiful color that we just experimented with. And a lot of
I
you guys
love
said,
that color.
yeah, it's so nice, right? It's got that beautiful brick red color to it.
I love that color.
Yeah, it's neat. And let's see, I've never actually tried to mix Venetian red. So this is an experiment. But so what is Venetian red? Like when you look at it, I mean, again, it's in the title of it. Red is probably our first color we're going to think, right?
Right.
And I'm thinking I'm going to actually mix both reds. A little bit of each.
Hmm.
All right, so I've got kind of a little more of a neutral red, gorgeous color. Beautiful, beautiful red. All right, but I need it to go browner, right? So what am I going to mix in there?
Some yellow.
Yes.
Yellow.
How about we just say green? But yellow and blue, yeah. So I know it's going to be a little bit more muted, of course, than it is now. So I'm going to mix a little bit of blue. And I'm going to go with the cooler yellow, probably. And let's just see where we go.
Ooh, nice.
Pretty close, yes.
Right? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
And that was just first experiment.
That's really amazing how close it came.
Yeah, I feel pretty lucky. It made up for my whole shooting past it with that.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
little lighter, so I'm thinking maybe a touch more yellow. Nope, a little too much. Now it went towards more of a light burnt umber feel,
Mhm.
but really not far off. So I think if I just bring a touch of red back into it, sneaking up on it. There we go.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I could very much put Venetian red on my palette anytime. If I'm, painting a bunch of brick buildings or whatever else, no problem. But I can make Venetian red, but I can never make Venetian red into red.
Right.
You can't unmix browns, right? You can't unmix a lot of colors. So I'm getting the most bang for my buck while being somewhat controllable with, not a phthalo blue, but for me, a manganese blue. Let's do one more experiment to explain why I use, let's just clear all these. They're already drying. They're so sticky.
Oh, mercy.
Look.
Oh, yeah.
That is
But they make nice colors.
Eesh. That is really funny. All right, well,
Did you use any medium when you put those up?
I have not now. I generally will try to stay away from most all mediums. Again, I'm just a simple man. I just find that why overcomplicate when you don't have to? If I needed my painting to dry really fast, let's just say it's, due I could add a, a medium that will speed up the drying. Or if I need my colors to appear shinier when they dry, like for whatever reason, the client just likes shiny, bright, colors, I can add medium. Or if I want my paints to spread further or be more transparent, I can add medium. But for the most part, I can do most of that with just the paint and just how I apply it. And I think this turquoise even has some of that. So what I wanted to say was, where is it? Let's say a Hansa yellow deep. So oftentimes I would have either a cadmium deep or a cadmium medium instead of my Indian yellow, right? Indian yellow was a guest color for years and years. And finally, I just kicked out my cadmium medium or my Hansa yellow medium because they're really pretty close, these two. Right? And I wanted more range, but I always thought I kind of needed that color to just to fill out the color profile. So I literally for years had 3 yellows, which was kind of, even though I would say this was my guest color, it was on there often enough. So then when I was finally experimenting, and I don't know why it took me years to do it, but I finally took my lighter, my yellow that leads towards green, and mixed a little bit of my Indian yellow, which is a very transparent but very warm yellow, and realized I could make something that replicates this yellow quite easily.
Yeah.
And that's Hansa yellow medium?
Hansa yellow light and my Indian yellow can make my Hansa yellow medium. It will be a little more transparent, but again, for me, that doesn't bother me. The other thing I found is I could take my Hansa yellow light and add just the littlest amount of my cadmium red medium. Actually, a light would be better, but just a little bit. And it also mimics that color really well.
Wow.
So I had 2 different ways of making this color. So why was I adding that color? See that? All 3 of these are very similar.
Yep.
So that's slowly kind of become my system, is if I can make it out of other colors that are on my palette, I generally don't need it.
Yeah, I like that philosophy. Economics.
There's economics to it. Another thing is if you have 1,000 paint tubes,
Yeah.
or 100 or 50, you
Yeah.
don't know when you're running out of each color until you're out and you need it.
And they
But
dry
if
up.
I only have a couple of colors, I can open my drawer and look down and go, oh, I'm running out of titanium white. Oh, I'm running out of one of my 2 yellows or whatever. And so I can buy, and I buy generally the big tubes because I'm saving money because I'm buying a big tube, and I don't need to buy 100 of these. I only need to buy 2 or 3 of these.
Michael, excuse me for interrupting. Cad yellow deep. Why do I have this? Is this something you recommended in another class?
Yeah, that was bad, Mike. That was
Oh,
bad.
no, that's oh, Michael.
No, it's a wonderful color. Use it up.
Okay, because it's not like can you point on your palette the Hansa color?
So this is Hansa light and this is Hansa deep.
Oh, okay, so the Cad
So they're
yellow.
really close. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really close to each other. That's why having the Indian yellow, you can see it's much more
Yeah.
orange. And
Yeah, I've
also-
got it. I've got that one too. So then the Hansa yellow is really different than those 2. Wow, I noticed different brands of paint, the same color is different hues. That's really
Oh
bizarre.
my gosh, yeah. And when I say Indian yellow, it is amazing how different that is from brand to brand.
Oh,
to
I
brand.
know. I've noticed that mostly with burnt umber. Like I use gambling paints only, but I couldn't believe how it differs with different brands.
What brand do you
Absolutely.
use, Michael?
I use Gamblin, it's local, so I support the local here in Portland,
Yeah.
Oregon.
Hmm.
And
I
it's
love
So-
Gamma.
good paint.
I wanted to present just a couple of big options you have. We talked about, instead of the manganese, if you have phthalo already, or if you're used to it, if you've learned from it, or you're whatever, and you're comfortable with it, I would just have phthalo here. Somebody else asked about making the turquoise colors. there's my buddy Scott Gallatley that I was talking about. Again, he uses a much more opaque palette. I use a more transparent palette. He actually puts down this gorgeous color, right? Isn't that
Mm.
beautiful? Who doesn't want that on their palette?
Wow, wow.
Cobalt teal.
Oh my God.
It is a gorgeous color. And in fact, let's do an experiment. I'm going to make greens, the brightest greens I can, with a manganese and with the cobalt. Not mixed, but side by side. So I've got my manganese. I'm just going to take my yellow over to it and mix a very nice bright green. But the truth is that the cobalt teal will in fact probably make a brighter green. I'm using my palette knife to do all this experimenting because I can completely clean a palette knife. If I was using my brushes, you're always going to have contaminants.
Mhm.
So when experimenting with color or making up your mother color piles and stuff.
That's
a bit
phthalo
different.
green.
That's
That looks-
the cobalt teal and yellow.
Cobalt teal. Wow.
So it also makes a much more opaque. They're not so different. Like I'm going to put them side by side here.
Oh, that's
This one's
right.
slightly more reddish. This one's slightly
Mhm.
more blue-green.
Yeah.
So if you are an artist who likes more of an opaque palette, meaning you don't want your paint to be transparent, the cobalt teal is a wonderful option instead of the manganese blue. So again, I'm just presenting, let's each one of us kind of work on this class, making a split primary palette that we love, right? And then I want you to work with that even beyond this class so that you kind of get to, I don't want to say master, but really get comfortable with this palette so that you're not having to overthink your color mixing. It's becoming more intuitive. But I want you to, I want to show you that there's options. Instead of my cadmium red medium, I oftentimes will use a naphthol scarlet, which is a little brighter. I will oftentimes, oh, here's the big one I wanted to experiment with. So I've got my orange pile that I made. But what if I actually got rid of my cadmium reds and even opened up my range a little more? So the truth is that between this ultramarine blue and this cobalt teal is a pretty big range on the color wheel, even more than between the cadmium or the ultramarine blue and the quinacridone. No, I'm sorry, the manganese. Ugh, I feel like I butchered that. The range on a color wheel, if you can imagine a color wheel, the separation of space is further with the cobalt teal and the ultramarine than it is with the ultramarine and the manganese. So if anybody chose to use the cobalt teal as opposed to the manganese, I completely understand, and you probably are making a pretty good choice. I personally don't do it. I like the transparency of the manganese. What I wanted to show you though is on my reds, and this again comes from conversations with friends, is a couple of them have substituted out their cadmium reds with cadmium orange. So you can see that the separation of the colors where they would lie on the color wheel is quite a bit further apart. We have these two colors. Now we have these two colors, right? And you would say, and you would be right to say, but Mike, you don't use secondary colors, which orange is a secondary color. Cadmium orange exists in an interesting space because cadmium orange is one single pigment to make it. So it was born like this. It was born orange, as opposed to the paint manufacturer mixing a yellow and a red in. And let's see if I can make cadmium red by mixing my quinacridone red
With the orange.
and my orange.
Sure.
And this is the first time I've ever done this. So you guys are,
Uh-oh.
yeah, let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I can.
Yes, you
And I can
can.
make an even warmer red than this one.
So that yellowish looking one is your cad orange?
Yep.
Mhm.
So now I can make it a cadmium red light.
Wow.
Michael, what about
Really
acrylic?
easy.
Would an acrylic cad orange have different properties since it's not being made from a pigment?
It is being made from a pigment. It should be the same.
Oh,
Even watercolor should be the same.
oh, okay,
But just look on the back.
okay.
And I'm going to try and darken this batch down a little bit, adding a little more red.
Hmm.
Look at that. It's almost exactly
Yes.
the same.
That's-
So, and again, you guys, this is the first time I've ever done it. You may have just seen a new birth of a family of colors
Ah,
because of
Oh, wow.
realizing that this can make that, but this has a hard time making that.
Look at that.
Hey, Michael, I see on the back of the cad orange, it says cad sulfo, SULFO dash selenide. What is that? Poison.
Well, it's a really friendly mineral that you find in a lovely, I don't know what it is. I actually have no idea.
But you say this is not made, this is pure orange.
Yep.
So,
It's
so in
just
that
that
case,
one mineral, however you just pronunciated it.
Yeah.
And with refined
Say
linseed
pie,
oil.
I
That's
don't
all it
know.
is. The only other thing though, I have to be aware of is it's very opaque. Again, because it's a cadmium color. So if I
Really?
wanted to use a transparent or a red, like let's say I'm putting my red into my sunsets
That's opaque.
and I want it to be more transparent to let the light go through the red and come hit the canvas and bounce back, then I may just simply pick up like a naphthol scarlet instead, which is a semi-transparent. So there are times where the palette slightly changes because I even want more transparents or I want more opaques. But this is what I want you guys to do, is to say your goal. Your goal for this class is to build your own split primary palette. 2 reds, 2 yellows, and 2 blues. Okay? You're more than welcome to have a guest color. Oftentimes my guest color would be something like Venetian red or the some kind of a turquoise color, or oftentimes I really like gold ochre is a really great color. Or sometimes I'll have a purple, very rarely, but sometimes I really want a vibrant purple for whatever reason. Maybe I'm painting irises or something. But I'll usually only have 1, maybe 2 guests. And the truth is my most common guest these days is strangely Payne's Gray. And that's because I like to use it because of its blue quality. It neutralizes colors and it also blues them down. And I find it leans them towards what I, for lack of a better term, call my 1950s colors that I love so much. Again, the kind of avocados and dirty pinks and stuff. I just love that color palette. That's just a personal thing. So if you have a color that you are having a really hard time making, and there are some colors you just can't mix. I cannot make a phthalo green with this palette. I just can't. Phthalo's too strong. So if I needed a super vibrant green, squeeze out a little bit of phthalo green. And phthalo green, let's see if I have any out. Phthalo green does amazing, beautiful, wonderful things. It actually makes some of my favorite grays when I mix it with quinacridone, gray blues, weirdly. Or it makes really great when you put a lot of white with the phthalo green. It makes gorgeous sky colors. But I very rarely, I think I probably had the same tube of phthalo green my entire career of 20 years because I so rarely use it. Trying to think if there's anything else. Other colors I have sometimes are burnt umber, just to make a really nice, dark, rich, warm brown. So I feel, man, we're already almost done today and I haven't even painted it all.
Michael, what brand do you basically use for most of your colors? Or do you have a couple of companies you use?
Gambling for 90% of it, but that's again because they're local. I'm friends with them. I paint with these guys.
Yeah.
They for years and years sponsored me. They don't any longer. Another color like that I've been experimenting with, just so you guys know, is a color from Michael Harding called Brilliant Pink. The painting that just won the best sky painting, and you guys are the only people that know this that I've ever told, was the clouds. I used Brilliant Pink. It was a color I couldn't quite make. It's just very extreme. For whatever reason, I have a heck of a time making that color.
Pinks are very hard, so
Yeah, because pinks, as soon as you add white to a color, it wants to get really muted. So sometimes you go flying past on pink. But it's a beautiful color. It really does neat things with the Indian yellows. Yeah, so if you ever saw the painting that that I did that won the best sky for the Plein Air magazine competition thing, that was with that.
I saw both of your wins, Michael. Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Congratulations.
But
And
sometimes it takes
congratulations
just
on teaching with Eric.
Thank
and
you.
his-
Sometimes it just takes that little bit of a punchy, extra color. And again, I'm not afraid. You will never see me be so strict. I'm not a purist when it comes to painting. I'll use my fingers, I'll use paper towels, I'll use spatulas, I use pieces of grass, branches, whatever it takes to make the mark I want. I will grab whatever colors I need. I'll do whatever it takes to make a pretty painting, I hope. I'm not a purist. Sometimes I wish I was. I think it would be easier just to have my own set of rules that I adhere to perfectly, but I think this is more fun. I enjoy experimenting. But
What brand was the pink?
William Harding.
William.
Michael Harding.
Michael Harding. Gosh,
Michael Harding.
Michael Harding. Yeah, Michael's a hard name for me to remember.
Some days.
Yeah, Michael Harding. So the next thing to talk about is, because I don't have any browns, I don't have any grays, I don't even have yellow ochre on my palette. And I've shown you how to make very vibrant colors over and over and over, which are great and useful, but most of my colors don't exist on the outside of the color wheel. Most of my paintings, or most, like 70 to 80% of my painting, exists on the outside or inside periphery of the color wheel, where things are getting browner and grayer. I just find that most of nature is not so vibrant as we want to think it is. Also, it helps, like what I was talking about the prima donna. If I want those pink sky, pink clouds, I've got to make everything else supporting it. How do you make pink special? By having a lot of gray and a lot of blue and a lot of cools around it, turquoise, greens, whatever it is, to make that pink feel really pink, really, special. So most of the color mixing I do is across the color wheel. So I would mix my multiple colors here. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow, turn that into orange, right? So now that color, well, it actually exists here in space. Now, if I want to brown that down, I'm simply going to go across the color wheel, and I can decide, okay, I've got this brown orangey color and I want to make it kind of brownish. Do I want to make it a warm brown or a cool brown or a greenish brown or a reddish brown? In this instance, let's pretend I want to make a reddish brown. So I'll maybe add a little more red to it. And I'm going to go across, and I know to make it brown, I've already got yellow and red, which is the orange. I'm going to need to mix from across the color wheel, which goes to the blue. And because I want my brown to be a little warmer, a little redder, I'm going to grab a little bit of my ultramarine. And let's just watch what happens as we begin to mix them, how they just neutralize each other. Right? So you can see, you know, this is definitely not as vibrant as the blue. This is definitely not as vibrant as the, if I want to make it a little, I have so much fun, what I call just bending the colors. Now I'm taking it towards a, what happens if I add manganese blue to it? What happens if I add more ultramarine blue to it?
I remember you saying that this is kind of how you make, instead of black, you make darks.
Yeah, because I rarely, just like I rarely need a bright, bright, bright orange in nature or a bright, bright, bright purple, I almost never need a black. I don't ever see black in nature unless I'm being lazy. If you, once you look into the shadows and the design and the structure, you'll find all these beautiful colors in your dark. And you kind of go, okay, well, in those shadows, is it warmer? Or is it cooler, more blue, more red? Maybe it's even more green in the shadows. And that's the hard part when people are like, well, how did you mix that color? And already most of these colors have all of these colors in them. Right? That's why I don't really do too many color charts, like, you know, this color plus this color equals this, this plus this, in this measurement, because it's just not how I mix. Almost all of my colors have touches of all of my colors. But I'm just constantly saying, does this lean a little more towards green? Does it lean a little more towards orange? Does it lean a little more towards red? Does it lean a little more towards yellow? And you get these beautiful harmonies and transitions and beautiful browns and ochres and burnt umbers. And
Wow.
what's this color called? Burnt, what's the
Burnt
green?
sienna. Oh, sap green.
Browny green.
Oh,
Raw umber.
Raw umber.
Yeah. And I can get all of those in here. And I'm not carrying around a bunch of tubes. Can add a little white. You get these gorgeous, subtle grays.
wow. That looks like raw umber.
Yep. With the white maize gray.
Yeah.
I have so very much fun, and I'm still, you know, after using a split primary palette, I'm still just so excited by what happens and all the gorgeous colors that I get. And for me, I love subtle. I love the earthy colors. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the bright and happy colors at all, but I personally am just more comfortable in the grays and the browns and all these colors. A really nice way to experiment is, can I make a truly neutral gray using colors? Let's try that. I have no idea what the homework's going to be today because we didn't get to at all what I thought we would get to. No, I know what the homework is. I apologize. All right, so I'm just mixing all three of my colors. And I'm trying to make it dark. It's very much redder. Now turning a little bit greener. Let's add a little white so we can kind of judge where it's going. It's a pretty good neutral gray already. Let's make a bluer, cool gray. I think there's nothing wrong with having grays on your palettes. I will use a neutral gray from time to time, just knowing that it's just a shortcut color. Sometimes I use Portland cool gray or Portland warm gray. Again, just a shortcut color. But it's fun once you're kind of experimented with these colors to add one more color and mix that color in with each one of these and just see how that changes things.
My daughter had bought me some paints for back in November for my birthday, and the Gamblin, they come out once a year with all their combined leftover paints or whatever that they call Torrid Gray, I think.
Torrid gray, yeah, that's them cleaning their filtration system.
And so they actually gave them to her for free.
Yeah, when you buy during that season, you get a free tube.
So I also have Torrid gray.
It's a different color every year.
But you said it was, it's scaring me. It's cleaning their system out. Can you define that, what you mean?
Sure, it's just all the dust that gets caught and then they just add it to oil because that's all that paint is, but it's just all the different colors. And so let's say that year they were making more reds or more blues, that gray will lean towards that color a little bit.
I see. So
yeah.
And the pigments are the pigments that they use are powders anyway, probably
Yeah,
not.
exactly. No, it's just the same stuff.
They
It's
mix
just-
it with the oil, so that's what he means by the dust in the
Yeah.
pipes.
Yeah, it's just the particles that, I'm going to mix my quinacridone red and this tube of cobalt teal just because I'm curious what will happen, because this is more of a greeny blue and my purpley red, but they're both vibrant, beautiful colors. So I just want to see. Oh, it's going to be gorgeous. Color excites me so much. I just, you can tell I haven't even, here we are 5 minutes left and I never even started painting.
Oh, that's beautiful purple.
Right, let's see what happens. I'll mix that down to here and I'm going to bring back in more of that blue on the other side. Man, you can definitely see an iris painting, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you mix the manganese hue or the ultramarine?
No,
With
this
the-
one was the cobalt teal.
The
Cobalt teal. Oh my God, that is so gorgeous. What a good
Yes,
dark.
maybe that, maybe that would be a good guest color, or maybe again, like you could just, but yeah, I can do a whole painting to just fall in love with that. I don't know what I would paint.
You can see there how it is a little more opaque.
Yeah, for sure. One of my favorite color combinations, speaking of the quinacridone red, is with the manganese blue. So it's skipping the ultramarine and going across to here. They're both transparent and they're both fairly high chroma. So they do make actually a pretty gorgeous fuchsia.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, for a long time that color was on a lot of my paintings. I really like it.
That's warm. That's warm.
Do you ever use a more transparent white? I think like zinc white is more transparent. Is that right? Or flame?
Yeah, it is. And then I also do have tubes of transparent white that I've begun to experiment with. Yes, if I'm trying to, if my colors are getting too, I use the term chalky, but different artists use that term differently. But I think you understand what I mean, where it kind of just dulls the color down to kind of a really horrible way. Then sometimes a transparent color will do the trick, transparent white. But I don't seem to need it too often. I've kind of, by practicing and by experimenting, kind of figured out how to get around it. You guys see any other colors? We haven't made very many greens, but let's see what happens if I mix the teal with Indian yellow. Again, very kind of both high pigment loads, but
Michael?
Indian yellow has quite a bit of orange or red in it.
Hey,
Oh, it's an
Michael.
interesting color.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
My
that's
bugaboo is a sage green because I live in the desert Southwest.
all right. Sage green it is.
And
Can you
boy,
describe-
I mean, I have tried and tried and tried and tried And it's a
Can you
very,
describe to me what a sage green is?
so it's a gray green, and it's a color. Do you know what Artemisia is? It's like wormwood.
No, I don't know what that is.
Do I have anything that color?
Eastern Oregon.
It's like a silvery.
Like
Oh.
a silver green, exactly. And it's just about impossible to mix with the split primary palette I use. So I would appreciate.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm gonna think that I'm gonna go with the reddish blue,
Ultramarine.
ultramarine
Michael,
blue.
have you tried to, I've been using out of tube, Oregon, Corbet green. Can you,
I've never heard of it.
really? Wow.
Is it named after the town in Oregon?
And I don't know, je ne sais pas. I don't know. But it's a dark green, like smack in the middle of your palette, kind of looks grayish.
Interesting. No, I don't know that color. So anyways, I got my ultra, I'm gonna even stay with the warmer red, maybe even a touch of orange. Let's see. But I'll just stay on track here. My CAD red medium. I'm just gonna add a little bit of that. And I'm gonna make a really hideous, plummy, dark purple. And now let's add, so that really seems like the wrong direction, right? That just feels like, wow, you're not even listening to what I'm saying, Michael. I just told
Okay,
you it
so-
was green.
Pardon me, Michael, I'm looking on this old tube I have. I didn't buy it, someone gave it to me. Williamsburg handmade oil, Corbet green. And it's so dirty, I can't read what's in it. It just says Corbet green, Williamson. Somebody gave me this, when you're in class, they don't want it and they give it to you. But
Right.
it's like good for Oregon. I like chromium green for use, but what do you know about Viridian? I hate that color, but do you use that?
I mean, no, I don't use any greens.
Okay.
But
Really?
the truth is, when
Really?
I open my drawer, I've got
Oh my God.
tons of greens.
Yeah,
So I own tons of greens, I just never use them.
but all your paintings, they look like they're foresty. So
He makes them.
yeah. I see
More
that.
red,
So,
more red.
Um,
So anyways, here's a couple different iterations.
in regard to the sage green, kind of to me has notes of like a blue spruce.
Definitely has blue in it.
Yeah, it seems like Payne's gray
Yeah.
might be a one to
Yeah, I
attempt in there.
That white that's kind of to the left of what you're working on right now, that's kind of silvery gray. I'm wondering if something like that with maybe just
Here or here?
yeah, the upper one. If just something like that with maybe a hint of what would it be? Would it be green or would it be blue that he'd put in there to make the sage?
blue.
Yeah, it would
Yeah,
be a
blue.
blue yellow.
It seems to
Yeah.
me sage green is actually not that green, It's,
Right.
Yeah, it's more
It's very
blue gray
it's
with a
very
little
blue.
green.
And
That's
and
getting
almost more white.
closer.
Yeah, I've used Payne's gray to try
Yeah.
and mix this color. And I get close, but it's not what I see.
All right, extra points to anybody who figures it out from the primary palette.
I think you're getting close by graying it down there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just wish I had an example. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
literally shooting from the hip here.
I'll post a picture of what I'm talking about on Padlet.
Okay. So-
Usually the leaves that are the sage green, they're like lighter on one side and darker on the top.
Well, I think there's like, it has almost like a fuzz, like a really
Yeah.
fine. And so those lighter parts, that are the like fibers on top reflect the light. And I think that's
Exactly.
part of what makes it so hard. I'm from Reno, so that's high desert.
Who's from Reno?
I am.
I'm from Reno. Who? I'm
Julie.
from Reno.
Yeah, are you still in Reno?
No, I'm in Portland.
Me
I mean,
too. So I moved up there too, yeah. I mean, well, I'm in Hillsborough, but.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
just
well,
wanted to
actually, I'm
grab
on the coast now.
a couple recent paintings. They're not great paintings or anything unless you want to buy them, and then they're the best ever. But I just wanted to show you, even though they're both kind of evening scenes, how different with just using that primary palette
Wow,
they can be.
beautiful.
So yeah, my homework was going to be, what I was even going to attempt to do, but time just goes by so fast. It's funny, most teachers have 2-hour classes and I don't know how they get anything done. We just had 3 hours go flying by. But I was going to have you do one vibrant, kind of existing on the outside of the color wheel, small, and one very grayed down or muted, but again, using the color wheel and just having to force yourself to mix across. And again, bonus points to whoever gets sage green in their painting. I will let you guys choose your subject. I would urge you to pick something simple. And if you want to, you may even want to take a reference that has nice contrast and nice simple shapes, turn it into a black and white, and just make up the colors completely yourself. So we're not worried about color replication. We are just wanting to play and experiment with using the split primary palette to make a, just kind of like we did last week, except for it's going to be out of the same colors. Last week we did a muted primary palette and a vibrant primary palette. This week it is the split primary palette, whichever one you decide to build. 2 reds, 2 yellows, 2 blues. Write them down, let us know what the colors are. And I want you to do one small vibrant painting and one small muted painting.
Okay.
I will post a couple references that I think could work that are nice and simplistic, if I could find them. Some we even used in the class last semester. But they're just super simple. And I don't care about the design, I don't really care about what it is. I just want you to experiment with the palette, making vibrant colors and one making muted earthy colors. And you can combine. If you're like, man, I only got time for one, here's a thing you can do is make your landscape earthy and muted and your sky vibrant, which is often how it looks. Does that make sense, you guys? Do as much or as little?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I do. I put on the one photo reference of that really foggy picture. I think Michelle already did a super gorgeous painting from it. So just be aware, I'll always compare you guys to her. No, I'm just kidding. If you do that reference. I will add a couple more right now as we're finishing up class. And as we're winding down here in our final minutes and people are starting to sign off to get lunch or dinner or whatever, depending on where you are, what questions do you have? That was a lot of information. And then I would also like to know really quickly from a couple of you who have had my color classes, how did you like having the alternative colors presented at the same time, or was that too much?
I enjoyed it. I sat here and mixed paint along with you.
Oh, good.
And I found that I can make Venetian red very quickly out of manganese blue and the light cad red. So,
oh, very cool. Yeah. See, and that's what's also really neat is you'll find multiple ways to the same colors. Like I did a class where I made yellow ochre with 3 completely different color combinations, and you can make it. So that's why I'm always like, well, yellow ochre is the simplest color. Like I think we accidentally make yellow ochre all the time, just like we accidentally make burnt umber all the time, just like we accidentally make sap green all the time. But I'm not anti any color. Truly, just know that if you want to add a color to your palette, I'm totally fine. And just like I used to have students that told me that I was anti-black in the color, putting it on the palette. And that's not true at all. I love Payne's gray, which is basically a, not quite a dark black. And then another color that often we'll put on my palette is the chromatic black, which is a great color because it kind of keeps the, it keeps colors chroma. I don't exactly know how to say it. But anyways, it's a nice black that doesn't gray everything down as quickly. It just darkens. Yes, Michelle?
you wanted to talk about the mentorship.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it starts not tonight, but next Wednesday. And it's going to be limited to 8 students, 8 mentorees. And the truth is that there is only one signed up right now, and she is a wonderful person in this class already. So if you have a lot of questions and you want to get a lot of one-on-one time, because I'll start it at 2 students. So unfortunately, Renita, we need one more. You will basically have personal 2 hours of my attention to ask anything, everything, and work on whatever it is you want working on. It could be literally an hour each of you guys getting critique and feedback. It could be whatever it is. It will go up to 8 students, and it's $75 a month. You'll get time with me, plus you'll get time with to meet with each other and with my assistant, who's a really great painter. And a really nice lady. And so anyways, and it's month to month. So if you sign up and you get your 2 hours and you're just like, oh, that sucked. Out you go. It does say that it's like $102 or something, but that's Canadian. So it's $75 American.
Is that 2 hours for the whole month?
Yes, it is 2 hours of one-on-one time or whatever, FaceTime over Zoom. Yeah.
No, it's every Wednesday for 2 hours.
No, just once a month.
Oh, okay. What
And
time?
then, like I said, there'll be 2 meetings. It is 4 to 6, I think, or 5 to 7. I can't remember.
And is that only landscape, or is it other?
No, whatever you want to talk about. So like I've talked to a couple people, but they haven't signed up. But like one lady just wanted to know about business, like our business stuff. Just like she's just getting started and wanted to know about, building her website and putting her, building up her name and how you do that. And I can only imagine, I mean, I know $75 in 2 hours is maybe doesn't seem like it's so worth it, but we're going to have a group, just like we do another Padlet page where it's just for us. It's all your time, all your questions. And, if you want me to demo on very specific things, I'll demo. If you just want me to ask and answer questions, I can do that. It's whatever you want. It's built around your questions. So, yeah.
Is it though, like theoretically, if there were 8 students, we would all be at that 1 2-hour class?
That is true. Yeah, it would start to get a little more watered down, and that's where it's nice to get in early. The other thing sound like a telemark or a pyramid scheme. Get in early and tell your friends. Yes, it is. And what it's called is we basically put you into a pod or a group of 8 people, up to 8 people, and you would stay with them the entire time. So you basically have another little private art community that's all working together. And with my assistant, you'll get hours with her as well each week. And then we have the Padlet to communicate more. I'm trying to figure out, because just like now, I'm like 2 hours doesn't seem like enough. So I've been asking about if I can go long and do all that and give extra. So I'm sure there will be. But,
I joined on, so maybe you have 2 people. I don't know.
You did? You signed in? Just now? Just this minute?
I did at the break.
Ha! You're awesome. All right. Well, it is a go. So we will be it will
Yay.
be happening. So
Hi,
Lenita and
Shelley.
Shelley, you are in our pod together. And so you guys start to think about, what are your questions? What would you like me to help? If you had time in my studio with me and you could literally, drink tea together or a glass of wine, whatever, and ask questions and anything. So anyways, one of the main reasons I thought about it was, I did this, I've been professional for almost 20 years. And the first 3 years of it was just me floundering, just me bumping my head against this wall and then that wall and this wall. And then I was talking with the lady who's in charge of this whole thing. And she had the same experience in Canada, in rural Canada, where, at least I live in Portland, where I'm surrounded by artists, but I still didn't have anybody that I really felt. And in the old days, most artists had a mentor or an apprenticeship. And that's just something that's gone away, unfortunately, over time. So I don't want to oversell, or, I don't want to sound like a salesperson, but if it's something that you think you could use, if you're wanting to take not just your art skills, but your art business, your everything else to the next level. And yeah, I hope you can join us there. That's not just salesmaning enough. Yeah, any questions about that?
Well, you
No.
said your assistant will be also participating, just kind of like the both of you?
Yes, she's my organization, so that saves me a lot of time, and it'll save you a lot of time. She'll be the go-between, so you'll have somebody that'll be answering the how do I get connected, how do we do this and that, a lot more. She'll organize, and you'll also have a meeting with her in between to kind of check in and see if you're if the homework, and she will be able to, I'm not exactly positive all the things that she does, but I've never had an assistant before. So that's pretty wild that you get all that. You get the website, you get to join a whole bunch of different meetings as well on there. So just go to the Mastrius site, MASTRIUS site, and look around. And there's so many amazing mentors on there. I hope you'll choose me. But once you get on there, you might be like, holy cow, this guy, oh my gosh, she's on here. And I understand. But hopefully you'll join mine and we'll have a good time. And then what it will be is about 6 months to up to a year together of doing that if you stick around. And then your whole pod, your whole group would change to somebody else, and you would pick that person. And so some groups have been together for a long time, and others kind of fluctuate. But anyways, on the Mastrius site, they have little videos that can describe it. They have lots more information. If you do have any questions, feel free to give me a call. I'll be out at the beach just relaxing and painting for the next couple of days. Even though I got piles of paintings I need to get to.
One more question about the master program. Oh shoot, it just ran out of my brain. Okay, well, I'll think of it in email.
Okay, sure. Well, I'll give you a couple more seconds.
Could you send us a link again, maybe?
Sure, I'll do that right now. I'll put it in an email, but I'll also put it in the class handouts. I'm just going to move it to the top of it's on the YouTube recordings. I'm just going to move it to the top of that.
So can you come in and out at will?
Yeah, I believe it's month to month, but I don't know. It literally starts for me next week. So it'll be my first time. I'm learning about it as we go along. I'm sure we'll be customizing it to fit, myself and my students. But it's something that I've been talking about with my wife about, like, okay, I'm to this, I've been painting professionally for, truly full time for 18 years now. I basically quit my last other job the week before my daughter was born, which really worked out well because I was, working in bars, getting home at 3 a.m, and then painting, and then going back to work at 2 p.m, or whatever. And it was brutal, and I wasn't seeing my wife. We were a young couple, needed the money. So when I was able to quit and go to art full time 18 years ago, it's amazing how many mistakes I've made. I've made all of them. And beat my head against the wall, like I said, I feel like I have so much to share beyond just me standing at the easel and talking about color, so much just about art theory. And I love the discussions, like Karen, when you did your introduction and you talked about, just kind of the meaning of painting, of why do we do this? I love that kind of stuff, but I also want to help people that want to go to the next stage and want to move forward in their paintings, have a pile of paintings, or just don't know what to do next, to help them. And so I've been talking to my wife about that for literally the last year. And at the same week, I got this opportunity to do it through Mastrius. And then last week, I just started doing a mentorship for 6 young up and coming artists in the town of Beaverton, through the city. And it is so neat. It's for, I'm helping them each put together a different art program. Some of them are, working in the schools, bringing art to the schools. Other ones are just wanting to go professional. Some of them one's a theater manager who just wants to learn how to network better and different things like this. So it's really neat. So I feel so fortunate that I get to have these conversations and share this. And I just think it was so kind of neat that literally by having these conversations, all of a sudden these opportunities presented themselves. And you know,
Michael?
you do get some of that in this class already, right? Sandy asked about plein air painting, and we spent 5 minutes talking about plein air painting. So, you know, I will hopefully make it worth every single penny. And you know, that if you do sign up, and no pressure if you don't. But
It's, I'm looking at it right now and it says find your time zone and it has a MST, EST, GMT, and AEDT.
yeah, so we are 1 hour after MST. We're PST. So I always just have to plug it in. I don't know why they don't have PST on there. I don't
So
know.
would we choose then the MST and then just know that, because it says 5 to 7 PM MST.
Okay, so we would actually be 6 to 8.
I didn't choose anything and it went through just fine.
Yeah, there's mentorship,
Yeah.
search
I
artists.
think, Michael, I think you're going backwards the other way. Isn't that Mountain Standard Time? We're gonna be backwards,
Yeah, we're
4 to
early.
6, not 7 to 9. Set.
Right.
We're an hour later than Portland.
And so do we apply a coupon to get the different price?
No, that's Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Canadian company. So they're overly nice and they talk slow. It's amazing, all the meetings. I'm always like, I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say, just say it. And it's funny because East Coast people think we West Coast people talk slow. So it's really cute, but they're all so Canadian and wonderful. I really enjoyed meeting them and talking with them, and I've had multiple meetings, and I'm excited for it. So yeah, there's let me just do a share screen. And again, if you're not interested, I really appreciate you guys spending the 3 hours with me today and watching me mix colors. And I can't wait to see what you come up with next week. For those of you who are curious, do you see the Masters page here? Okay, so that's just their main page, how it works. There's a video here that just, I mean, we could watch it, it's 2 minutes long. Otherwise, if you go up to the mentorship groups, there's search artist mentors, and they really expanded their artists that they're offering here in the last while. So there's quite a few. And I'm actually even contemplating joining a couple of these. Mitchell Albala is I'm actually reading one of his books right now. I don't love his paintings as much as I like his teaching style. Like I don't want to paint like Mitchell Albala, but Brian Sindler's another artist I like. There's a number of artists on here, and even a number of artists I painted with. But you can really look at it. There I am. So you click on my name, see details, and there's, again, it goes to see how it works. So I'm working with emerging artists. There's beginning artists, emerging artists, and professional. So I'm working with artists that are ready to kind of take it to that next level. You guys know how to hold a brush, you know how to mix colors to a degree, you know, you're ready to kind of go. I'm not just teaching the very basics. Talks a little bit about me, shows some examples of my work. And then here's my expertise. Some of those, when you go on to, you click on the different artists' names, that could be your mentor. Some of them are literally like color and composition is their only thing, or social media is their only thing. And they're very specific, which is great if you have a very specific, but I decided to kind of say, I can help with all of these things, color and composition, which we're dealing with, studio setup for art production. I can talk about how my studio is split up into different areas for framing and for photography and all the different things, techniques and demos, which I do in this class, supplies and tools, providing art critiques, which is super important. If you know, I give you guys only 3 to 5 minutes in this class. So imagine if you had, 15 minutes or a half hour or whatever it is, really diving deep. Teach you how to self-critique. And then under marketing and branding, social media, shows and exhibits, marketing and branding. And then under business, approaching galleries, running your art business, the day-to-day, and studio time management. So all those things and more. And yeah, I'm just hoping that it's something that you guys will find useful. And again, if you sign up for 1 month and you're just like, that was crazy, that was the worst 2 hours of my life, and you quit, I completely, and I actually think Yeah, it's Canadian, so 107 Canadian. They may have a money back guarantee for a month or two as well. I thought I saw that somewhere. But when you sign up for this, you also get, they have meetings every month and free art talks and things like that. And a whole bunch of videos online already about different things. I'm not sure if you just get them for free or if you get super discounts. Anyways, I will have you guys explore that and learn a little more, and I will share as I learn it. They are also going to be beginning to offer courses for the first time, which would be kind of what I teach, more organized, you know, this step, then that step, then that step. But I haven't done anything like that with them yet.
So Michael, I have a question. So are you going to make a video, a teaching video with Eric Rhodes?
That's not in any form of discussion at all. It's expensive.
Okay.
The artists actually pay to make those.
Oh, wow.
And it's really quite expensive. I've got one friend who's done pretty well from his 2 videos, and then a couple of friends that have lost a lot of money doing that.
Oh, wow.
I think it's really neat, and I know they make gorgeous videos. There's a new one coming out about Clyde Aspavig. He's one of my very favorite painters. I always joke that if he had a church, I would join it. He's just such a neat, interesting man. And I love his theories and talks on art, but his new video, I think, is $900 to buy.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's the biggest one they've ever made. And I would like to get it at some point.
What's his name?
Clyde Aspavig.
Wow. You want to spell that?
Let me type it in and let me have it look real quick.
Aspavig, okay.
Yeah, I'll just look at some of his work here real quick. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous paintings. But he's basically retired. He paints, he doesn't teach anymore and anything else. So they kind of brought him out of retirement one last time to kind of do his big hurrah. But I've seen him give multiple talks, and yeah, he just, I really like him.
Yeah.
He's a guy I really wish that I had met. My daughter's first painting she ever copied was this one a long time ago when she was like 3 or 4. Still have that somewhere in our attic.
Oh.
But yeah, you can see he influenced a lot of painter. That's not one of his, is it? Anyways, cool guy, cool thing. That was a big tangent from the question. And I'm just looking over here. It's risk-free, 90 days, money back. No obligation, cancel anytime. Private chat, 24-hour access. The recordings are archived. Archived. Support, so you basically get a group, so kind of just like we have in the class a little bit, but it's an accountability. You guys are working together, helping each other, and I am your mentor. And monthly sessions, 2 hours, groups of 3 to 8. Oh, we need 3. I thought it was 2. So one more. I need one more.
Hey, come on, guys, do it.
I signed up, Michael. So you got 3.
So did I.
All right. Well, you guys are my.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna try it too.
I signed up too.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well, we're full.
7,
We're
8.
from 0 to full. So
I want to, I want to, my heart's in it, and good luck, you guys.
Great.
Good luck. Have
Thank
fun.
you so much. Yeah, so I guess we're almost full already, so that's good. See you next Wednesday. So it'll be Wednesdays will be a full day, but that's kind of what I decided to do, is that I will dedicate my Wednesdays to teaching and learning myself, teaching and sharing, and then I will be painting the other 4 days of the week and relaxing on the weekends with my wife and daughter. And that's kind of my new schedule, and I'm really thrilled. You know, I've known some of you long enough that I hope you guys will give me very honest feedback. And, you know, let me know if you think this is the right path for me as something going above and beyond what, you know, I've been doing with teaching. But for some reason, I just feel like mentoring is something that I really wish I would have had, and something I really think I can share. So
Yay,
anyways,
I'm excited.
Can you confirm what time we're supposed to meet? So I'm totally confused now.
oh, sure. Let's go ahead and look again at mine. Search artist mentor.
I think it would be 4 to 6.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me find my name again. Do. Where did you see it?
Here.
5 to 7 Mountain Standard Time.
Well,
so again, I
Eastern
thought we were
Standard
1
Time is
hour
3
after
hours.
Mountain, so I thought it would be
No, you guys will be 4 to 6.
So it's 4 to 6.
4 to 6. That's good because I'm tired at 7.
Yeah, I'm in Colorado and you guys are an hour after. So, sorry. Yes, so I got to join at 10, which was wonderful, instead of 9.
Okay, so let's just do this. I'm going to compare 7 p.m. Six. Yes, you were right. So 4 to wait. That's 5 to 7. So yeah, we are 4 to 6.
Yeah, and I am 5 to 7.
Okay. 4 to 6. That's great. Yeah, that's, still be done for dinner and and able to relax because that's a long day for me of talking and teaching from 9 in the morning till 6 in the afternoon, basically. But I'm really excited for it. And I think it's going to be really great for all of us. So yeah, start thinking of your questions and what out of those specialties kind of you would like to investigate. And, would you like more painting at the easel time? Would you like more talking time? I can also, as you guys know, go over specific talking subjects while demoing at the easel, just not talking about, exactly what I'm doing, but you can watch me paint while I talk is another option that I think may be a little better than just looking at my goofy face here for 2 hours. So anyways, you guys get to decide. You guys get to build it, ask questions, and it's your time. So I look forward to it. And Shelly, you signed up. Karen, did you?
I signed up.
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay.
I've got to check some dates.
So I missed who else said they were thinking about it or did do. I know Renita did, Michelle.
Phyllis.
I signed up, Michael. Lisa.
Oh, great. Thanks, Lisa. And Sandy.
They did something weird with my email address, so I'm gonna go fix that because there's actually another artist that has Lisa.Fairbank and mine is just Lisa Fairbank. And they're like,
Oh.
welcome, Lisa.Fairbank. I'm like, what?
And
really
Phyllis.
wild. Great.
And Phyllis.
And Phyllis,
Yeah,
you did too. Great.
Yeah, I want to, but I haven't gotten out of the screen to go do it.
Okay, well, great. Well, I think that will about fill us up. So perfect. If anybody else, wants to join, or if you have a friend you think might be interested, I think we have one more spot. So perfect. That'll be great. It'll save us a little bit of time too on actually having to all really get to know each other again. We'll do another quick introduction, but and talk about basically what it is we want from it in this first, so next Wednesday, not today, but next Wednesday. Anyways, I'm really honored, you guys. I did not expect that. Thank you for asking, Michelle. That was useful. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Have a great week. Have fun with these with the split primary palette. Again, there's no messing up. Even if you just wanted to paint some abstracts and just play with color. You saw how I was bending the color. Even if that's all you did on your canvas, I just want you to experiment and play and have fun. And next week we'll start doing some more serious and a little more involved paintings. And great. I'm gonna go back to the beach and watch giant waves.
What part of the beach?
Depot Bay.
Oh, Depot. Okay. I'm at Manzanita.
Manzanita, yes, because I'm gonna go check out Sitka Center on Friday, because I'll be teaching there as well. So we're doing a lot of teaching this year.
Oh, yeah.
So
Nice
Michael,
place, nice place to teach.
Yeah, I've heard. I've never seen it. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's great.
So Michael, will you teach another class this year, like this class that we were just finished, like the color
Yeah, you
class?
know what? I just literally right before class got the email that they have opened up for the spring class. Let me see. I think it was from Hannah. Let me see if I can just pop that up. Spring class registration is now live. I'll just post a link to that in our Padlet as well.
What's it going to be this time?
I don't know. I don't remember. Is it really? The link is only $9.50. Let me see.
Is it going to be like in March or April or?
Oh, I forgot. I gotta read it again.
Oh, I can't see it. It's so small.
I haven't put it on yet. I put it in wrong the first time. I didn't put the whole.
Okay.
So I'm putting it under YouTube class recordings. It's loading 4%, 6%, 8%. We'll see if that works. It says it's ready. Where did it go? Huh, that didn't seem to load. Oh, here it's loading. Okay, and let me go read it really quickly.
Can we print out the handouts from Padlet?
Yes, you can.
How do you do that?
You'll click on them, and then on the bottom right corner, there's a couple little symbols, and one will let you download it to your computer, and the other one you can print from, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
So the next class is called The Beauty of Brushwork, Painting Clouds, Trees, and Water. So it'll be a somewhat of a repeat of last year. This was a class that was designed by the students. You know, I had basically been doing a brushwork class every spring about edges and different things like that. And I was asked if I would do painting clouds, trees, and water, and we had a blast. And there was, I should probably just have like a painting clouds and a painting trees and a painting water, because trying to do all of those within 8 weeks is a lot. And last week I promised every week that we would get to ocean, and we never did. There's just so much. So I'm thinking this time, again, I'll be open to student interpretation, but I definitely promised to do a little more ocean painting. And then I always love clouds. I think clouds are just endlessly amazing and beautiful, and kind of what I'm known for. So I love clouds. And then I basically just include clouds with trees oftentimes. If you see, are you guys seeing my screen? Am I still sharing it?
Yeah, I see it. It's
So yeah, this
beautiful.
painting is out of Savi Island. And, you know, a lot of times my trees are simply there to support the sky. You know, there's some detail, but not a whole lot. So I'll talk about, you know, what's the minimal you can get away with, and how do you just tell one tree from another, and, you know, personality and everything else. So, and yeah, I would hope to be also bringing in some of the references from my trip to Carmel. So some of the coastal cypress trees getting a little more personality and movement, and almost like a anthropomorphic. Is that the right word? I know that's for animals, but where you give the trees kind of a personality. And I'll talk about some artists that have really inspired me in that. And some of my most popular paintings, the prints they sell the most of, are trees that people really, literally, you know, will write me. And that reminds me of my my aunt so-and-so. She was so strong and just really stood up. And it's always interesting how people can put whole stories onto a tree in different situations and stuff. So anyways, looking forward to that. I'm glad that's what the class is. I couldn't even remember what I submitted. So that will be fun. So
Well, wonderful. I'll join you. I'll join you in that class.
yeah, I can't wait. Well, yes, and we'll paint some of Linda's beautiful sky scenes that she photographed for us. So keep on taking photos, Linda.
All right.
All right. Well, I do have to go. I got to eat something and get on the road and get back out there. You guys are amazing. I mean, just the fact that you just spent 3.5 hours listening to me is, I don't even ask my family to do that. So you guys are great. And
thank you.
I really do enjoy
you,
this
Michael.
time every week, and I look forward to seeing all your beautiful work.
Thank you, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Safe driving.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful drive out there.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of here.
Me
Okay.
too.
Where am I going? There you go.
This is how all of my videos end. What's going on? How do I do this? All right, I'll just push end and you guys will be out. Thank you, Carol, for all your time. Thanks, Linda. Great seeing you again.
Thank you.
Bye.